this is gonna be the story about how I got this little guy. Okay, he's in his hyper phase right now because he just had lunch, and he usually gets really hyper after lunch. But this is him. So he doesn't really have a name officially yet. I've had him for, what's today, Saturday? I've had him for a week tomorrow. I've been calling him Tucker. I really like the name Tucker. I feel like it's gonna be Tucker. Okay, I'm gonna put him down now because he's super squirmy. Hey, look up here, look. No, he's too playful. So I've been calling him Tucker. The other names I had picked out were Chester, and that's the name that Barn really likes, and my mom likes Chester better than Tucker too. The other name I had picked out was Moose. I really liked Moose as well, and he's brown like a moose and he has long legs like a moose. He's a chocolate Labradoodle, by the way. Can you please stop moving my camera? An F1B Labradoodle, so that means that they're 75% poodle and 25% lab. It's the most hypoallergenic dog apparently that you can get, or it's the best, one of the best for people with allergies. I do have allergies to dogs. This one is, I'm good towards, like, he doesn't bother me at all, thankfully. But anyway, so yeah, so those are the names I had, were Moose, Tucker, and Chester. And I've been calling him Tucker. Barnes kind of been calling him everything, like Chester, and I don't even know what else. And my mom calls him Rufus. I don't know, his name is not gonna be Rufus. And my uncle calls him Moose. Like, everybody just kind of calls him whatever, and we need to pick a name. I think it's gonna be Tucker. I picked him up last Sunday. So I, living in Alberta, I had to fly back to Toronto to pick him up. You're probably wondering why. Well, basically it was cheaper for me to fly to Toronto to pick him up and bring him back than it was to buy one here in Alberta at the time. I can only find like Australian Labradoodles, which I guess is a better breed maybe, I'm not sure, but they were really expensive, and like I said, cheaper for me to fly back to Toronto and get it and bring it back. The funny thing is, we just flew back from Newfoundland, basically the opposite side of Canada, on Wednesday, and I had to fly back to Toronto, which is like halfway between Alberta and Newfoundland, to pick him up like 2 days after, because there was no room on our flights for dogs. They only allow like 2 dogs in the cabin at a time. I couldn't change my flights because I was booked under a companion flight with WestJet, and they wouldn't allow me to change my ticket without changing Barnes as well, and he had to be back for work, and there was no flights for dogs anyways before he had to be back to work. So I flew back with him Wednesday, which, if I was smart, I probably should have just skipped my flight, like just not gone on it, and booked one for Saturday or whatever from Newfoundland, so I didn't have to fly all the way across Canada and then backtrack back to Toronto. It was a lot of flying, and I'm just entering into my 3rd trimester. I was 28 weeks at the time, so I'm pretty pregnant. Hey, he's such a savage, like he can eat 24/7. And it's pretty uncomfortable for me now flying. I don't mind flying, but flying by myself means I have to carry all my own bags. I am totally getting sick. Well, I'm already sick. I was supposed to leave last night for Toronto at 12:30 p.m. and my flight got delayed. I think it was only half an hour. And then I got another email saying it was delayed an hour. And then, so I took a nap on the couch because it wasn't supposed to leave. Oh gosh, there's so much crumbs on my shirt. I wasn't supposed to leave till like 1:40. So I was so tired, so I took a nap on the couch, and I woke around 11:30, I believe, and I got another email saying that my flight was changed altogether to 6 a.m. and then flying to Calgary. So I went to bed and got up at 4 and checked my flights, and the one to Calgary was on time, but what I didn't realize was I had an all-day layover in Calgary, and my flight didn't leave from Calgary till 6:15 p.m. So I called WestJet because I don't really know anyone in Calgary, so I didn't want to sit in the airport all day. So I called WestJet to try and change my ticket, and it was a 3-hour hold or wait time to get hold of anybody. So I went to the airport myself. I'm thinking all these delays are happening because there was an incident in Toronto yesterday where a WestJet plane fully loaded was waiting to pull into the gate while a Sunwing plane was in the gate, and he was backing out empty, and he backed into, I believe, the wing of the WestJet plane, and I'm pretty sure it caught on fire and everything, and they evacuated the WestJet plane. But I'm pretty sure that's why everything is so backed up. So I did get my flights changed to flying out here 12:05 p.m. and then I think I have like 3 hours in Calgary and I'm flying out there at 5:30, and I don't get in Toronto until 12 midnight. So I won't be picking up the puppy today. I should have already had him by now. I was supposed to pick him up at 9 a.m. this morning, Toronto time, but now I won't pick him up until tomorrow, probably lunchtime, which really sucks. But my return ticket isn't booked till Monday, so I had till Monday to work it out, and hopefully there's no more delays. But right now it's 10:30. I'm soon gonna head up to the airport. Yeah, so, and I woke up this morning with a sore throat, and it's super sore right now, and I'm not feeling very well, but this dog better love me because I'm really not feeling well, but I'm gonna do it. I had some echinacea tea. It's like a throat coat tea, and I've been pounding the vitamin C. So yeah, hopefully this doesn't ruin me too bad. That flight wasn't the best. I think it's like a 3.5 hour flight. I had the window seat, but I had no window. My seat didn't recline. I had my iPad. Hey. No, oh my gosh, he wants to get up. I have my iPad, which I thought I downloaded some episodes on Netflix, but it didn't work. And I'm just thinking now, oh wait, no, I have my wireless headphones, but the other headphones that I brought, I wasn't smart enough to realize that I have the new iPhone 7, so they have the different earphone jack or whatever, so my earphones wouldn't fit into the plane, so I couldn't watch TV on the plane. I couldn't watch a TV on my iPad or my phone because I didn't have anything downloaded. I could have bought headphones, I guess, but I just didn't, and I couldn't sleep. I was so cramped up. I was inside. There's 2 strangers sitting next to me. Oh, and I forgot to mention, so Friday I had my glucose test, so I was down to the clinic, and I should know better to come home and like bathe in sanitizer because I got sick. I came home and I started getting a sore throat that night, and when I woke up for my like flight at 4 a.m. I was like full on sick with a really sore throat, so that sucked. So I was sick on the plane along with all that other stuff. I couldn't sleep, so I got in Toronto, I think it was like 12 a.m. so that night, so like a full day later basically. My uncle picked me up there. I stayed at his house for 2 nights. I was supposed to have the whole weekend in Toronto, but where my flights were all messed up, I only had I got in Sunday, well, early Sunday morning, Saturday night, whatever you want to call it. So I basically had an all day Sunday, and I flew back out at 7 a.m. on Monday. My flights there were just a disaster, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to get my puppy. Sunday I got up and we had waffles for breakfast, and it was it was like the best waffles I've ever had. I'm not a waffle person or a pancake person, but these waffles had ice cream on it and berries, and oh, it was just so good. So we had breakfast and we headed out, and I remember I was like super excited, but I was like, I don't know, nervous. I had like that nervous, excited belly. And it was a 2-hour drive because we were in Oshawa and we had to drive down to a place called Grimsby. So it took us about 2 hours to get there. I put my deposit on this dog. I've never seen this dog. I didn't really know if it was a puppy mill or anything like that. It was kind of taking a chance, but I did, she did have a website and a whole bunch of information, and I was talking to her a lot, so I kind of just put all my faith that this was gonna work out. So we got there, the dog was there, there was a house, and we went in, and the lady was so nice. And she brought out the puppy, and he was one of the last ones to be picked up. There was 2 females left. I didn't see them, but she brought him out. He was so cute, and the mom was there, and I felt so bad for taking him from his mom. But I don't even think she really cared, to be honest. She said because he was trying to, I guess, feed from her, and she was just not having it. She was probably just like, hurry up and take this boy because I can't deal with him anymore. So after we spent a bit of time there playing with him and going through the paperwork and all that fun stuff, and then we drove home, or well, back to Oshawa and meet Moose. So, are you a moose? I don't know if you're a moose or not. Oh, you're so curly. What? Can you see yourself? Look at that. Look at these ears. You look so sad. And the drive there, he, I guess it might have been his first time in the vehicle, but he was a bit car sick. And he was like urging, and he did cough up a couple pieces of like dog food or something, but it was only like small piece. But once he did, he's like, wants to get up here. Whoops. Once he did throw up on me, and it was very like spitty, and it was all over my shirt, everywhere. It was nasty, and I didn't, it was the funniest thing. It was down over my belly, and I have a pretty big belly, so I couldn't really see to clean it up because it was kind of down under. So I had my seat reclined, and my uncle was trying to clean off my belly, clean the barf off it, while we were both dying laughing, and I almost peed my pants. That was fun. What did you do? Did you puke all over me? You look so cute. I love you, but I hate you right now. Oh, you're lying in it. Oh no. No. It's in your paws. Oh. Okay. First day with Moose. That was fun. Hey, buddy. So yeah, the first day spent, he puked on me. So then that evening we just spent at my uncle's, and he was pretty good. He didn't really cry at all the whole way home. He was really quiet. My uncle had a small dog. I'm not really sure what it was, but they were playing like all evening, so he was pretty exhausted by that night. We did put him in the kennel that night because obviously, I mean, first night away from home, he was probably going to be like pooping and peeing everywhere. So we did put him in a kennel. It was a pretty big kennel, and he got in there and he laid down right away and went to sleep. It was beautiful. Hello.
You silly bear.
Hi.
You're a silly bear, aren't you, Sissy?
Randy. Oh. What do you want? Oh. Go tell him to stop crying. Oh, he's let down now.
Come on, Susie. Come on.
Oops, wrong one.
Come on, baby. Come on.
Hey!
Oh my God, you're gonna rip all my...
What's he doing? Is he crying? She like comes and checks on him. What? What is it? Hey, that's enough of that.
Lucy, what's going on in here?
Where you at? And we have calmed down. Or not. Are you gonna be good? Our first night together? Hopefully. He didn't even, I think we went to bed around maybe midnight. And he didn't wake until like 4 a.m. when we had to go to the airport. So that was great. Good morning. We just woke up at, I think it's a quarter of 4 to do our pee and our poop. Perfect timing, buddy. Perfect timing. Now we have to go to the airport. Yay! So yeah, he slept really good. I thought like this is gonna be a great dog. So I had a pet carry-on to bring on the plane with me to put him in. We didn't put him in it until that morning. And I'm glad we put him in there before going to the airport, because the whole drive from my uncle's to the airport, which is about an hour, he bawled his eyes out and it was terrible. He cried and cried and cried and cried. He did not like the kennel at all. I was stressing hard because I was thinking, how am I going to fly back to Alberta with this dog crying his eyes out on the whole flight? I'm probably going to be crying too. So I was stressing really bad the whole way to the airport. My anxiety was through the roof. We got to the airport and checked in or whatever, and I checked my suitcase carry-on, and I got in line for security and my uncle left, and I started to smell something. I looked down and on both ends of my carry-on is mesh, and it was covered in either poop, like diarrhea, or puke. And I started to freak out because I'm in security. I don't have time to get out and go to the washroom. And it smells, and I look in and there's puke everywhere, over everything. And I knew I had to take him out to go through security. It was horrible. I was freaking out. He was crying. I was just stressing hard. So when we got up to security, I took him out. He wasn't too bad. He wasn't covered in puke, luckily. We went through there. I didn't put him back in the carry-on. I carried him through the airport. It was a long ass walk through the airport, long. And I feel like walking through the airport, I just felt so out of shape and like I was dying. So when I got to my gate finally, they were boarding the last zone and the last few people in line, and I asked the lady, I'm like, there was a washroom around the corner. I said, do you mind if I run to the washroom, because there's puke everywhere and I need to clean it up before getting on the plane, because if not it's gonna smell. And she's like, okay, like try and do it as fast as you can. So I ran to the washroom, took him out. He pooped and peed in the bathroom, which was good. And I quickly cleaned out his carry-on, and I had like 5 puppy pads in there, stacked or whatever you want to call it. So I just kind of took it out. I had a small blanket in there that a friend gave me, but I had to throw it in the garbage because it was covered in puke. And I mean, a blanket you can't really clean, and it would have just smelled. By the way, that first night in his kennel, he didn't poop or pee in it. That was good. Actually, I take that back. I think he peed. I don't know. So I ran onto the plane, put him under the seat, and he cried, and I was freaking out. And luckily the people sitting next to me were nice and they weren't complaining. He wasn't too bad that flight. He would settle down and then he would wake and whine for a little bit. It wasn't like loud whining or crying. And then he would settle and sleep a little bit longer and then wake, and it was a long flight. I think it was 4.5 hours back to Calgary. So it wasn't too bad. He didn't like to take off and landing. He would cry then. But when I got in Calgary, we were late leaving Toronto because of weather. So when I got to Calgary, I only had an hour layover, which where we were late, it was only like half an hour. So I had to run to that gate and get directly on the plane. I didn't have time to go to the bathroom to take him out to pee or poop. And I got directly on that flight, and then he started crying a lot on that flight too while we were waiting to take off. But luckily before we took off, I think he settled and he slept that whole flight. That was only like an hour flight. So he was really good that flight. When we landed, he started to cry. He wanted to get out. I guess he knew. But he was really good. So when we got in the airport, I took him to the bathroom right away. And he pooped and peed in the bathroom in the family washroom. And I cleaned him up a little bit. And we picked up our bags. And yeah, went to the car. He does not like the cold. He hated the cold very much. He cried the whole way to the car. He didn't puke anymore, and he didn't poop in his kennel. He did pee a little bit, not very much. He did not like the cold at all. But that's all the time I have because I had to go to a yoga class right now, so maybe I'll talk about our first week with the puppy in my next video. Okay? Right now you have to go back in the kennel. You love the kennel, don't you? Hey, yeah. Okay, don't eat my face, please. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. You're such a savage. You're such a savage.